Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar for today, How to Counter the No Canadian Experience Narrative. This webinar is brought to you by New Canadians, a TV show and web series for newcomers to Canada and would-be immigrants. And if you're in Canada, you can watch us on Omni Television every week, or from Canada or anywhere in the world, you can watch us on our website, newcanadians.tv, or our YouTube channel where this webinar is being live streamed. My name is Gerard Kalajian, and I'm delighted to welcome and introduce today's presenter, Daisy Wright, the author of No Canadian Experience, a book, and award-winning career coach and chief encouragement officer at the Wright Career Solution. Hello, Daisy.
Hello, Gerard, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for the opportunity, Daisy, for being with us. During this webinar, we will cover the question that always frustrates newcomers, how to counter the no Canadian experience. And we have viewers joining us from Canada and from many places in the world. I can see Nigeria, I can see Lebanon, my country of origin. So welcome to everyone. And just before passing it over to Daisy, I'll remind everyone that you can, if you have any questions regarding the topic of Canadian experience, please type them in the Q&A tab on Zoom if you've joined through Zoom, or in the chat box on YouTube, and Daisy will answer them during the presentation. So let me stop sharing my screen, Daisy, and welcome you once again to this webinar. I'm sure everyone is excited to hear your insights and your advice regarding this important topic that keeps frustrating newcomers every day.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for having me, Gerard. And when you ask me to do things, I literally drop everything I'm going to do in order to come in, accommodate you, because I know the great work that you're doing for newcomers and new Canadians. So thanks. I'm just going to have some patience while I share my screen.
Thank you. So just remind, while Daisy is sharing her screen, I'll just remind everyone once again, if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to type them in the Q&A tab on Zoom or in the chat field on YouTube. And Daisy will answer them either during the presentation itself or at the very end during the Q&A segment.
Great. Thank you. So welcome again, everyone. I am so happy that you have chosen to spend this hour with Gerard and I today. And thank you so much, Rita, for calling in from Lebanon and all the other, wherever you're all calling from. So I'm just going to start with give you an overview of what we're going to be discussing today. So first of all, we're going to reframe the narrative. You're going to hear that so often. You're going to hear no Canadian experience very often. So we're going to try to reframe the narrative. And we're going to come up with some strategies on things that you can do. And then we look at creating career stories. Now, we might not have time to create stories, but at least we're going to be creating your elevator pitch, which you can use in a variety of settings. So first of all, yes, you need to switch your mindset, because it's hearing no Canadian experience. It's a barrier that you're going to encounter. You're going to hear that you lack the Canadian experience. So switch your mindset. Don't give your energy to that. Sometimes you'll have to address the barrier, the elephant in the room, literally. And sometimes you might have to say, yes. Say, yes, I don't have Canadian experience. And it's not a but, it's and. And then you draw attention to your international experience. There, you're going to give a brief explanation of who you are. You can say, and I'll give you the script later on, I have not had the opportunity to work in Canada yet, and that's the reason I'm meeting with you. That can be one narrative. But before you do that, I want you to take an inventory. Look at all the things that you have done. What makes you unique? Remember that your individual journey have value. So don't allow the lack of Canadian experience to take you away from who you are and all the achievements that you have had. Before you start your job search in Canada, or even before you get to Canada, you need to get the attention of the employer. But it takes much more than just sending a resume and a cover letter. You first need to understand the employer's needs. What are they looking for? Many job seekers think of their needs first. They need a job. They have all these degrees and they're qualified, so any employer could hire them. That's not necessarily true. It's all about the employer and the employer's needs. It's all about them. So as a job seeker, you need to see yourself as a product that the employer wants to buy. Sometimes we end up, so first of all, like I said earlier, assess your skills and your qualifications. What do you have to offer? And how does your experience align with what they're asking for? Now, recruiters and hiring managers and employers, they will reject your resume for a number of reasons. And the main reason is that they're looking at the resume and it is not telling them, it is not aligning with what they're asking for. So when they do not see that, then they put your resume in file 13 or in the garbage bin. So what you need to do is first research your jobs that you intend to apply for, but very importantly, review the job description. Everything is in the job description, including the interview questions, funny enough. So conduct a thorough review of the job description. If you do not do that, you will not know which of your skills and experience will align with what the employer is looking for, what the recruiter is looking for. Do not make it difficult for them to find you. So create your resume based on the core requirements, and those core requirements are included in the job description. Read every line and then match what they're asking for with your background and experience. Okay, so how do you, so you will need to start building relationships. And this is a long process, but it is so important. Target companies. Do not wait until companies advertise before you apply to them. Target some companies. Decide, well, I'm going to research 20 companies. And that sounds like a lot, but it makes sense. Target companies, whether they advertise or not, because sometimes they themselves don't even know that they need somebody like you. Okay? Target recruiters. And we're gonna talk later on. I'll tell you some strategies on how you can target recruiters, particularly on LinkedIn. I hope I'll have time to do that. So forge authentic relationships. That means build real relationships. And that will take time. So you need to play the long game. When I say build relationships, it means you're going to find people where they are. Most likely you're going to start with LinkedIn, but it's not only LinkedIn. Find out where these people are. Find the professional associations that align with your profession and start to create relationship with them. If they have like blogs, you can contribute to that. If they're posting information on LinkedIn, for example, engage with them on it, because then they will realize that you are an expert in your field, and you will be building credibility. People will start believing you. People will realize that you do have value, and then you'll be gaining visibility. Those are things that help you to connect with people. You have to use all the tools to try and connect with people. Now you have to have a clear goal before you set out to contact anyone. So take the time, and this specifically relates to LinkedIn. Take the time to find shared interests. Whoever you're connecting with, see if you're connected by, whether by country, whether by industry, whether it's you're an alumni of the same university, and do that, and then research and determine where your connection point might be. Like I said, it will take time. You're playing the long game. It's not going to happen overnight, but slowly you'll be building relationships, and use every tool that's available for you. So whether you're going to contact them, you can write them directly. I'll give you a quick story. I wanted to get in touch with someone at the UN, and I tried every angle. I sent them a fax. The fax machine didn't work. I sent them email. The email nobody replied. I sent them a message on Twitter. Nobody replied. And what did I do? I saw a press release that the organization sent out, and there was a name there. And I sent an email to the woman, and I said, I've been trying for days to connect with the head of this unit. And she said, could you help me? And in one day, I got to the person I was looking for. And he sent me an email to say, yes, thank you for reaching out. We'll be back in touch with you in a few days. My point is, you need to use every tool at your fingertips, whether it's email. One of the tricks you can do is to send multiple emails in different formats if you don't know their email address, because send it until it doesn't bounce. Use every format. So it could be daisy.wright at the rightcareer.com or dwight at the right career. Use all those formats until you receive, you'll be getting mail delivery error. Use it until you get the right one. And contact as many people as possible while being realistic, because not everybody is going to respond to you. Not everybody is going to respond to you. But so the wider net you cast, the more you'll be able to get somebody to connect with. And especially in the Canadian sphere or the Canadian market, you have to, like I said, once you have done your research on the companies, do not stop there, but try and find out who is in charge of marketing and who is in charge of logistics, for example, or supply chain. And don't be afraid to connect with those people, to send them an email, to ask them for, 15-20 minutes, if they could speak to you about, career possibilities, or talk to you about their jobs. How are they doing? What skills do they need? Would somebody like you need to succeed in that field? Like I said, you have value. The fact that you may have come to Canada, you don't have the Canadian experience, is no excuse for you to start playing small. You were a success in your country. You are a success, right? But you just need how to learn how to package your success into something that somebody will be impressed by. Somebody will be convinced that, yes, they should be they should be speaking to you. So I don't want you to start shrinking, to start thinking, oh, I'm going to be faced with this no Canadian experience bit and be afraid to speak up about your accomplishments. Now, your elevator pitch. You'll hear about it. It's called elevator pitch. It's called 30-second sprint. It's called your elevator soundbite. And all it is a brief introduction about you and your abilities. It's a verbal business card. And you need to figure out what is unique about you. Now, the reason this elevator pitch is important is that you're going to use it at different times when you're connecting with people. You're going to use it when you introduce yourself if you're at a face-to-face networking event. You're going to use it when you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn or when you're reaching out to them by email. So it makes sense for you to create your elevator pitch, your soundbite, your verbal business card, and know it so that as somebody asks you a question, you can easily articulate that to them. So here is what I suggest you do. And I'm not asking that you do it right now because we won't have the time, but I want you to write a paragraph of 5 sentences stating your skills, your experience, your achievements, and what is unique or special about you, and why an employer should choose you over other candidates. So you're going to do that. Write a paragraph of 5 sentences stating your skills, your experience, your achievements, what is unique or special about you, and why an employer should hire you. That's all a part of building your brand. In coming up with those sentences, you might want to ask people who know you, probably 2 or 3 people who know you, to say, ask them, what is it about me in terms of my work? What is it that I do well? Because sometimes we don't even realize how good we are until somebody else tells us. So it's okay in coming up with your elevator pitch, which will also serve as your brand statement, which will also serve as the top paragraph in your resume. You need to make sure that you're capturing everything that will convince anybody you're speaking with or anybody who is reading your resume that you are the right candidate. So it's very important for you to spend the time really digging deep into who I am, who am I, what value do I bring to an employer, what are my successes, what are my accomplishments. And remember, accomplishments do not speak by themselves. You have to speak it. You have to tell people all about you. And don't start thinking that people may think you're bragging. I know some of us come from a culture where if we start talking about all the great things we have done, people start thinking that we're bragging. But listen, if it's based on facts, you're not bragging. If there are things you have done that you have been proud of, that you have received recognition for, it makes sense to let everybody know about that. Here in North America, in Canada, and in the US, people are not afraid to speak up about their accomplishments. And so it's something you will have to learn once you get here or after you've moved to Canada. You have to learn that people, employers, recruiters, they expect you to speak. If you don't toot your own horn, if you don't speak up, if you don't toot your own horn, nobody will know that you're coming. So I want to impress on you how important this is. and why it's important for you to spend time creating your elevator pitch. As I said earlier, it's going to form the basis for the top third of your resume, introducing you to the reader. It's going to form the basis for your brand statement. It's going to form the basis for your opening a conversation with potential employers or even people that you are networking with. So that piece is very, very important. And I'll just introduce you to my elevator pitch. It's different because I'm not looking for a job. But this is my elevator pitch. The first paragraph tells people exactly who I am. They're not guessing. And if you notice, I haven't included anything about my degrees or anything like that. I know sometimes when people introduce themselves, the first thing they say is, I am Daisy Wright and I have an MBA in finance from. That's great. And I don't want to trivialize that. But you imagine going up in an elevator, you only have 30 seconds to speak to somebody important. That's not the first thing you're going to tell them. You have to tell them exactly how you can help them. So for me, this is my elevator pitch. And it's at the end, the last paragraph, that I'm telling somebody about who I am. It's at the last paragraph that somebody would probably realize that I'm a career coach and I'm an author and I have different certifications. So when you're developing your pitch, think more in terms of the employer's needs or the person you're speaking to, his or her needs. It's not so much about you and your 3 or 4 degrees. And I'll repeat, I'm not trivializing your degrees because they're important and they will serve a purpose because they might be the one thing or the couple of things that will differentiate you from all the other applicants. But think in terms of what would they want me to say? And when you do that, when you start thinking of the employer's needs, you start thinking, okay, where are they hurting? Where do they need help most? And you present yourself as the answer to the employer's needs. Okay, so I'll show you an example and this is an elevator. This is a script of one of my actual clients. And I use it because I want you to get a sense, to know that this is real. I'm not sure if you're able to read it, but I hope you can. So if you're going to be speaking to someone, you go to an interview and during the interview, you discover that, or they say, wow, you don't have Canadian experience. Remember at the beginning, I said to you, yes, you have to address the elephant in the room. And sometimes you yourself have to address it before they even ask. And so you say to them, first of all, thank you for inviting me to the interview. I am pleased that something in my background and experience caused you to select me as one of the candidates to be interviewed. The reason you say that is because there are people who I spoke with a woman this week and she went to the interview and that's when they were telling her she did not have Canadian experience. And she said to herself, why would they invite me here? Because they already know my resume shows that I don't have Canadian experience. So I am saying to you, you can face it before they even ask you. Put them on the spot to say, Thank you for inviting me to the interview. And then after that, you can say, it is true, I haven't yet had the opportunity to work in Canada. And I'm hoping you will give me that first chance. And then third, and most importantly, you talk about your experience aligning very well to the position, right? You can talk about the fact that you have worked with a company that has a global presence. It means you will be able to help them to market in those other countries. You talk about your background. In this case, this person is in digital marketing. So you talk about all the things that you have done in that space. And you end with such a background, I am sure I will be able to help you develop and implement the strategy to deliver consistent messages across all media channels and platforms. So this particular piece, like I said, you will be massaging this to suit the situation. Now, would you be putting this piece on top of your resume? No, because you're not going to say, first of all, thank you for inviting me to the interview, but you would take pieces from this to put in your resume to capture somebody's attention. This piece is more about the conversation that you will have if you're speaking to someone over Zoom or if you're speaking to someone face to face. Okay? Jared, can you just keep looking at the chat just in case I need to answer any questions?
Yes, I'm following the questions, and we already have a few questions.
But, okay, good. Yeah. Good. Okay. So here is and I've left this piece for the last because I want to give you an idea of how you can target recruiters on LinkedIn. Recruiters in your own field. And it's not, you can use it to target companies as well. So here's how you target recruiters on LinkedIn. And if you can go into your own LinkedIn profile, I don't want to go into mine and get off the screen. But if you can go into LinkedIn, go onto your LinkedIn profile and follow my steps. I'll just wait a few seconds to get you onto LinkedIn. Once you're there, just put it in the chat so Jared knows that you're in your LinkedIn profile. So we're going to do this on the spot.
We have a couple of people who are saying they are on their LinkedIn profiles.
Okay, good. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do, from your home page, click on My Network. From your home page, click on My Network. Then you're going to open Connections. Go to Open Connections. And that's at the top left-hand corner, the top left-hand column. And then you're going to click the blue. It will say Search with Filters. Once you click that, select all filters. In the pop-up box, choose the first, most likely you'll see the first box already checked. And that's for people you're connected with. So you can check the second box and the second and the third connections. Once you have done that, scroll to the bottom of the box and type in the keyword section under title. So you can type in whether it's recruiter, whether it's hiring manager, whether it's talent acquisition. You can decide which one that you would type in. But be sure to fill in the industry box. So if you're in IT, you would put in IT, because you want to choose a recruiter that recruits for your field. So it doesn't make sense you're in IT and then you're going to search for recruiters in finance. So, or if you're in finance, you put finance as the industry. And then the names that appear are people you have some type of connection with. It shows whether it's a first, second, or third and their name. Okay. Once you get here, you can click on the connect button to send them a personal message. You don't have to, but you can. And then you can also reach out to people in your connection, to people in your network who know those people, and ask them for a personal introduction. Okay, that's how you target recruiters on LinkedIn. And do not target everyone. Please, anywhere from 5 to 10 recruiters in your industry would be fine. Do not target 20 and then keep bothering them. Target between, recruiters usually say between 5 and 6, you target, and then you start building relationships with those recruiters. Do not send your resume to any and every recruiter that's there. So that's how you can start. You can do the same thing for companies. This is how to target recruiters. You can do the same thing if you want to target companies. Do the same thing to find out who is there. Who is the person who would ideally be my boss? And so rather than sending a resume and a cover letter to just about anybody, you would have names. You would have a name or name that you can be specific about. You can really get that person, use the person's name, send them a copy of your resume and cover letter. I usually say, if you're applying for a job online, for example, go ahead, apply online, upload your resume and everything online, but go the extra step and find out who would my potential boss be. Get the name, send them a hard copy. Yes, take it to the post office, put their names on it. They will be bound to open it because people like to see their names in print. So they will see it, they will open it, they will say, wow, this person I will have to put this resume aside so I can interview this, so I can invite this person to the interview. The reason I say this is you upload your resume to the online, you don't know where that resume is going. And especially if you have not captured every keyword in that resume, the applicant tracking system is not going to pick up your resume. So I want you to get into the habit of targeting. So following the rules, yes, you follow the rules and you apply online, but take it a step further and contact somebody, some person, send them your hard copy of your resume. And after you have done that, a week after, follow up. That's part of building relationships. That's part of playing the long game. It's not going to happen overnight. Those are some of the strategies that you can use to bypass this no Canadian experience myth. You are not going to buy into that. You're going to say, I have value. I am going to take the time it takes to build some credible relationships with people in my industry, with people with organizations that I would want to work with. And bit by bit, I will be making a pathway for me. And in saying that, it's not all about you either. It's also about how can I help this particular recruiter or this particular employer. You might find out that the recruiter is looking for somebody looking for an accountant, for example. If you have an accountant in your network, by all means, recommend that accountant to that recruiter. He or she will remember. So when it's your time, they will remember that they literally owe you something. So I think I've come to the end of the presentation, end of my time, Gerard. I wouldn't mind answering the questions, but I just want to just give a quick overview. Please recognize that you have value. Recognize that your journey, your unique journey has value. Recognize that you have something to offer employers. And it's you just need to learn, how do I package all my experience, my background, my successes, my accomplishments? How do I package all of that to capture the attention of an employer? And then you engage in conversation with that employer and see what happens. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm open to questions now, Gerard.
Thank you, Daisy, for all your tips, the examples you shared, the advice you gave regarding overcoming the challenge or the myth of not having a Canadian experience. There's the first question that has been asked, and actually it's more than one question, relates to the elevator pitch you shared, your elevator pitch, and the viewer is asking, why did you put the career coach part the last in the elevator pitch, and where do you see yourself using that elevator pitch?
Okay,
this is the first part of her question, or
yes,
his or her question, and then I'll ask the second part as well.
That's fine, and I'm glad she's asking that question. So the first part is that my focus is not on the fact that I'm a career coach. My focus is telling someone what it is that I do. And what is it that I do? I help executives, managers, and mid-career professionals tell their career stories and get hired faster. That's what I do. And so when you are developing your elevator pitch, that's what you have to do. That's why I said identify who you are and what it is you're good at. And then you tell people. That's the first thing. Remember, you are in an elevator where it's going to take 30 seconds to get from floor 1 to floor 2. So you don't want to I don't want to start telling them, oh, I'm a career coach, because they'll just say, okay. But for me, so the second part of the question is, why did I put career coach at the end? It is similar to me saying, you don't start your elevator pitch with your degrees, that you have an MBA and you have this and that. Because again, the person might say, okay, and so does somebody else. But you start with, how can I help you? What is it that I do and do well that I would want you to know about me? So that's why I started my elevator pitch using that format. And even in the elevator pitch, there's nothing there that says anything about my degree. It just tells people, okay, after you've heard who I help, then you will know what I do and then who I am.
Daisy, the person is also asking you, if possible, to give an example of when you had to change your elevator pitch, and what did you say at that time?
Okay, I changed the elevator. First of all, the elevator pitch is my brand, so I hardly even change it, because wherever you go online, whether it's on my blog, whether it's on my website, whether it's in my Twitter handle or LinkedIn, it's always some combination of that. So it doesn't necessarily change. That's one. And two, understand that I'm not looking for work. So it's mine will pretty much remain standard. However, if you do have to change yours, again, it depends on the situation. If you're networking with somebody who you're meeting for the first time, you may tell them, everything about you, literally. But if you are meeting with a potential employer, that's when you are going to see what's the best thing. What does this person really need to hear from me? And then you create a special elevator pitch for that person. So you will have like a master pitch, and then you take pieces from it depending on the audience, depending on who you're talking with. I hope that answers the question.
Hopefully. And another question from Vanessa. She's saying that, and it seems she's still overseas. So she's saying that she's been connecting with people in her industry and recruiters and applying to some job offers to practice how to create a good resume and cover letter. So she hopes to move this year. So she's asking, what else do you recommend?
Okay. So she's connecting with employers.
Yes, with recruiters, employers, and she's also applying to job offers. So maybe you can quickly touch on that as well. Should people apply to jobs before they move?
Well, so yes, they can apply for jobs before they move. It is not an easy task, I'll tell you right up front, but there are people who have applied. I think it depends on your industry. But you can, I don't know if she's applying through Express Entry, because that's a good place, that's a government place to start. But also know that it's possible that employers, once they know you are not here, then it's harder for them to start investing in you unless you have a skill that is so hard to find that they would seek you out. But you're going about it in the right way. You're connecting with recruiters. And it depends on how far away you are in terms of your application to move to Canada. One of the things I advise people to do is to try to find a local phone number where if people call you, you can answer it from wherever you are. That's one. You don't need to put your address or anything on your resume. Your LinkedIn, your email address is just as good. So you're going about it the right way. But in terms of, I would want to know how close you are in the application process. Because if you're just targeting employers per se, some, of course, might reach out to you for sure. And but others, because if they know they can find somebody here, they're not going to they're not really going to be reaching out to you. That's just the reality. The other thing that you could do is to look for everybody when they're moving to Canada, they want to move to Toronto or Montreal or Vancouver, those major cities, but look for other cities, look for other provinces where there might be a need for your skills, and not everybody wants to move to those provinces. So New Brunswick, those provinces in the east.
Yeah, there are many small cities as well. Viewers can find on our website, newcanadians.tv. We regularly cover actually many smaller, medium-sized communities. such as Thunder Bay, such as St.
Yes.
John in New Brunswick, Sarnia in Ontario. So because some immigrants or most immigrants want to go to the bigger cities, not many people go to these cities. So
Yes.
there's less competition and there's so many job opportunities as well. And in in reality as well, sometimes the life quality is even better there because
Yes.
there's less stress, less traffic, less commuting. You're closer to your work, and lots of nature. So give it a look, and also to Daisy's advice, many of these smaller communities as well, Timmins, Thunder Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, Brandon in Manitoba, they have actually an immigration program where
Mm-hmm.
employers post jobs, and you can apply. And if the employer wants to hire you, then they support you and in a way sponsor you through the application, and also after your arrival, they help you with the settlement support here. So it's a good way. It's a good way to immigrate through that avenue. Otherwise, maybe focus more on building relationships, meaningful relationships, more than applying to actual jobs that could translate to opportunities right after you land here. Daisy, there are a few questions. Maybe if we can pass kind of over them, answer them quickly.
Yes. I just
Uh,
wanted to add just one thing that you said about the provincial, the PNP, the provincial
yes,
nomination program is the one you're referring to
yeah,
where,
the provincial
yeah,
nominee program, and
yeah, nominee.
also the rural and northern immigration pilot. It's the short
Mm,
name is RNIP, RNIP, and there are about 11 or 12 communities in Canada that are actually, it's similar to the provincial nominee program,
mm-hmm.
but the municipality actually nominates you
Oh,
because
that's
one of the local employers, they need someone with your skills and experience. So it's a very good opportunity for anyone who wants to immigrate, and they can kind of apply through that avenue. Or even if they started the process, it's also good because there are so many opportunities in those smaller and medium-sized communities that most immigrants, they don't kind of pay attention because they are
attention. Yeah.
focused on going to the bigger cities.
That's
One,
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. Another question is from Pablo, and his
Yes.
question is regarding LinkedIn. Would you recommend to open a new profile when you move to Canada to avoid mixing your home country network with the new one you're building or you're trying to build in Canada?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think does LinkedIn allow us to have more than one profile?
People open more than one profile,
Yeah.
but that might create
They,
confusion as well.
it might be because it's not so much Pablo, it's not so much about the your profile, your current profile, because what will happen is that if you start building a new one, it means you have to start all over again in terms of trying to get recommendations, trying to get connections, trying to get people to endorse your skills and so on. I would probably not um, suggest that you do that, but more or less see how you can revise your current profile. People will know, where that yes, you are in Peru or wherever. So rather than spending the time to create a new LinkedIn profile, my suggestion is to build on what you have. Now, if it's built, created in your language, for example, whether it's Portuguese or Spanish or what have you, then you probably want to um, have it translated, probably. But I wouldn't suggest that you end up with you create a new profile. Hope that
Uh, and
helps. Yeah.
yes, another question is one of our viewers is asking. I have a gap of some years. How to bridge that gap without doing a long bridging programs or
Mm-hmm.
courses? And the person who was asking is saying that they need to work right away. So how to kind of bridge the gap they have?
Okay. So a couple of quick things. One, if the gap is you left your country, you've been here, you haven't got a job, then it's okay. You can address that right up. That you have been here, you have been job searching, or you have been, you probably have been doing some kind of like with some of the nonprofits where they have short, 3-day programs and so on. Find things. Let employers want to know what it's not so much about the gap, but is what have you been doing during the gap. That's one. So if you have been taking care of some family member, or you're the spouse who have to stay home to look after the kids while the other spouse is at work, say that. No harm. Or if you have to take care of a family member, say that. And you can address the elephant in the room using your cover letter to do that. These days, I know a lot of people frown on, oh, what have you been doing? But if you speak up, if you're authentic and you tell them, or it could be a case where you're traveling, well, tell them you took the time to travel. But again, tell them what you learned during all of that. The other thing, too, and this just came out, if this person is here in Canada, this just came out. The Ministry of Colleges and Universities just this week announced some kind of assistance, whether it's grants or loan. I don't like the loan part, but anyway, whether it's grant for people to do like short courses. They call them micro credentials, where if it doesn't take long, most of them are online. And for example, if it's data scientist, for example, do a short course, maybe 3 weeks, 3 months, whatever. Then you can add that to your resume. So find ways of telling them how what you have been doing during the time.
So Daisy, there's another question from Rita. She's asking
Hello, Rita.
She's from Lebanon, by the way.
I know, we're connected. She's connected to CPC, Career Professionals of Canada.
Glad to know that. So
yes.
So she's asking if she's looking for a job in Canada and she's not landed yet. Should she change her location to Canada to start appearing in searches like many recommend, or would that be misleading? So what would your recommendation be?
My recommendation would be, it depends on how close she is. So if she has already gotten, say, her PR card or her permanent residency, or she is very close to getting it, I would change my location if she's sure she's gonna get it. If she's not sure, if she's just started, then I wouldn't suggest that. But if she's close, if she has been approved, if she is way in the express entry and close to it, that by all means do that. Yeah.
Another question, Daisy, and if you can answer in about a minute.
2 words. Okay.
Minute. So the person is asking that Canadian workplace culture, they're hearing that it's unique. So what 3 or 4 things can you tell us about the Canadian corporate work environment?
Yes, I am not sure it's unique. It's unique, really. But the first of all, number one, punctuality is very important in the Canadian workplace. If they say work starts at 8:30, they want you there at 8:25, not at 8:31. They're very, very, Canadians are stickler when it comes to that. They also want people who have good interpersonal skills, people who will get on with their other employees. They don't want anybody to come and disrupt the synergy that they already have. And they're also, you will find that Canadians on a Monday morning, Canadians will say to you, well, how was your weekend? Don't think that they want to dig into what you did on the weekend. But that's just who they are. You go to work on a Monday morning, and that's one of the first things they're gonna say. How was your weekend? And you can say, well, it was great. I used the time to relax if you don't want to get into details. So quickly, and of course, professionalism, that is top priority. You have to show that you're professional in every respect. You have to be respectful of your co-workers and things like that. I would have a whole new thing on that. But anyway, for purposes of this question, that's it.
Thanks, Daisy. We can take maybe a couple of more questions, like very briefly.
Mhm.
One question is, what would be your advice on how to measure accomplishments that go on the resume or elevator pitch?
How to measure the accomplishment?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, when you're thinking of your accomplishments, I think and this is how I coach people, whether it's for interviews or whether it's to get information from them to structure their resume. Think in terms of what was happening, what was a challenge, what was a problem you faced. Think of the actions you took. And the most important piece is think of the impact. What impact did your action have on it? So it could be a case where the company was losing money, and because you implemented all these cost saving measures, you were able to save the company $500,000. That's how you measure your accomplishment. Now, some people might be thinking, oh, but I don't know how to do that. You can do that. Go right back to how much money did you this will take me a long time to really get into how people outside of sales can really measure their accomplishment. So I would probably want to answer that question, go into it deeper, just because we don't have the time. But that's how you do it. Find out what impact you have had on it, and that's how you measure your accomplishment.
Thanks, Daisy. And the last question, again, if you can answer in half a minute, what is your opinion about settlement employment agencies that help newcomers? Based on your experience, how helpful they have been in helping newcomers in regards especially to building Canadian experience?
On a whole, I think they have been quite helpful. And when I moved to Canada 30 odd years ago, we didn't have these services and organizations now. So they're quite helpful, and I would tap into them and determine which ones you feel would work for you. But on a whole, they've been quite helpful.
Yeah, and I would add to this point as well, Daisy, that even I've had a personal experience. Sometimes some employment counselor or counselors or settlement counselors, they may not be a good fit for you, or maybe you feel that they are not helping you the way. So don't take it against the agency or
Yes.
kind of lose your belief. The agencies are doing great work. Ask for another counselor to work with you, because as Daisy mentioned as well, those agencies have so many programs, mentoring, networking opportunities, bridging programs, and job search programs that help you build your network as well in Canada and connect you with guest speakers who are from the industry, and that's how you build your experience as well. So on the screen, you're seeing Daisy's contact. So Daisy, if you want to quickly wrap up your part.
Yes, well, I just want to say, so first of all, connect with me, please, on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram. But more importantly, thank you so much for spending your morning or night, wherever you are, with us. It has been really good for me to speak to you, but I'm open to connecting. If you have additional questions you want to ask me, please do so. I'll be open. The only thing is I might take a little while to get back to you, but I'll surely get back to you and answer your question. Thanks again. And thank you so much, Gerard, for having me today.
Thank you, Daisy, once again. And for this very informative webinar, I mean, the questions are best proof that how the audience was interested and benefited from the points you made, the advice, the tips you gave. Apologies for anyone who asked questions and we didn't have time to answer. So please follow up with Daisy or us at New Canadians, and we'll try to help you as much as possible. So with this, we wrap or we reach to the end of our webinar for today, how to counter the no Canadian experience narrative. We do similar webinars all the time. And just before reminding you of the links, I'll share once again Daisy's website if you want to know or to access more of her resources and to follow up with her. And as I mentioned, we do similar webinars regularly, and we produce content as well to help you with your Canadian journey. So please stay in touch and connect with us on our social platforms on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, as well as if you're on the Telegram messaging app, follow our channel there, and you will be notified whenever we have webinars and live sessions, so that depending on the topic, you might want to join. You can also watch many videos with Daisy and with other experts as well on resumes, on cover letters, on LinkedIn profiles, on Canadian experience on our website, newcanadians.tv. On the website as well, there's one of the sections is called Welcome to Canada. And in that section, we have featured the small and medium-sized communities that we talked about during the session. And some of you asked in the chat for the link. So it's on the website, newcanadians.tv. In the menu, look for the section Welcome to Canada, and you would see some small and medium-sized communities. And we regularly add new cities, so keep an eye on the section. And if you want to get the best of what New Canadians is producing, if you want to get that in your inbox once a month, please subscribe to the newsletter if you haven't done so already, and you will get all the information and resources that will, in regards to immigration, settlement, employment, education, and small business resources that are targeted for newcomers to Canada. One last request before you exit Zoom, there's a very, very short survey. Please take it. It will take less than a minute. And that way you will help us improve the experience for you and come up with better and other webinars and sessions that would help you and bring in excellent experts such as Daisy in our future events. So thank you once again for everyone who joined us from Canada and from overseas. And thank you, Daisy, for your time and for your tips. Connect with you can connect also some of you ask in the chat for my personal email. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or email me through the New Canadians website, and I'll be happy to get back to you and help you in any way I can, myself and the team as well. So have a good weekend and stay healthy, everyone, wherever you are.